the duality of formatting optimization in periods of extended production versus distribution. If you make videos, you have two periods. The first one is the creation, and the second one is the distribution. Now, one could also say there's a third period, third phase, which would be the ideation. One could also say there is post-production. One could also say there are 99 other things you need to do, or phases. But let's just stick to the 2 or 3. Now, what I've noticed in myself over the last couple of years is the following. Whenever I make videos, and then I think, okay, I need to really optimize the workflow of recording videos. Maybe I just make these videos where I stand in front of the camera, therefore I call them front, because I use the front camera on my phone to record it. Maybe I just do this all the time. Maybe I just quit all the other formats, maybe I just quit blogging, because if I just have one thing, then I have an idea, and I already have a workflow, which is as simple as possible, which is as simple as maybe having my recording software, OBS Studio, open, and then just having the setup ready at any point I stand here. For example, for quite some time, had this setup actually moved to the right. But this was not where I would be standing if I was standing in front of my computer. So every time I then looked something up, I had to stop the video and I had to go back. But now I just optimized it towards this, because this is where I stand anyway. So if I happen to have an idea during the day, then I can just turn on the camera and record. Now, another optimization with a similar, or which goes into a similar direction, or which would have a vector which points to the similar goal, would be that I would buy a newer notebook, which then would not constrain my ability to have multiple programs open, similar, or one of these, OBS Studio, and therefore I could more easily record, because the threshold for recording is then lower. So whenever I record, whenever I have these phases of recording, and there seem to be phases that are occurring, and it also seems to be kind of a not self-confirming, but a self-increasing, I don't know the proper word for this right now, but if a phenomenon basically propels itself forward, similarly to like a snowball rolls down a hill, it becomes heavier and heavier and bigger, and so it picks up more and more snow. This effect seems to be kind of occurring on basically both processes. There also seems to be this effect occurring that I think this process which I am currently doing is more and more important, and then I need to do this more and this more and this more, and then I actually forget about the rest of it, and also the combination of both, the interplay of both. I need to record and distribute at the same time in order to kind of always be, okay, I made this video, but I now don't want to distribute it because the thing I recorded is not something I want to publicly show. And so I need to basically have the interplay of those two continuously, similarly to many other things, similarly to maybe sleeping once a day instead of sleeping every 24 days instead of hours, but then for a couple of days. So there needs to be a certain frequency to these different tasks, and they need to be kind of in a certain proportion of time to each other. Now, on the other side, in the distribution side, and now what I already established here, I think as I described it, is whenever I record, I want to optimize kind of towards just one format. I just record one video after the other. Maybe I don't even distinguish between the short and the long format anymore, because then I just have one list of ideas and I just go. As of today, for example, I try this for the first time. I just have one list of ideas and they are written out already. And the brainstorming is also maybe a separate process, because then this means that I don't have to feel as self-important while making the video itself, because the self-importance already happened when I wrote down this idea, but the writing down of the idea is only kind of a task. So I kind of, by separating out the ideation process, I have less responsibility, because this is something past me already, basically ascribed to me as a task right now, and therefore I just now do the task. And if I'm then in distribution mode, I just distribute the videos I already recorded, kind of a responsibility past me gave me. But if I'm doing all at the same time, then it becomes this convoluted thing of, okay, do I really need to record this? Do I really need to say this? Do I, well, maybe I just shut up, because maybe I should just shut up because nothing I say makes sense anyway. And I can't even pronounce words properly, it seems. Now, if I go to the distribution process, a different process is occurring. And this process is that I now have all of these things and I want to categorize them as nicely as possible. 2 things into the same bucket. But if I then have 20 things of the same bucket, then I already could make a new bucket. And if I then have a new bucket, then maybe there are out there, but these are actually also kind of two different formats. Maybe I should make an additional channel for this. But if I make an additional channel for this, then maybe I should also make this across all of the other channels I have, such that the structure is similarly, such that the structure itself at least is to a certain extent standardized, therefore simplified, and I don't have like a ridiculous amount of formats which are different on each interest channel I have. So I do have certain interests, and therefore I make channel for the different interests I have, and then I have different formats on these channels. That's kind of the structure. And so whenever I then am distributing, I think, okay, I actually should make more channels because, well, I already have so many videos. Why not just make a new channel for this kind of type of thing? And also, it would be a nicer bucket. But the more narrow the bucket then is defined, the harder it is then to produce videos that fit exactly into this. And the more I then have basically videos that don't fit into any of these specific buckets. What I'm trying to say is that there is a kind of spectrum of just making one channel where you talk about everything, where you talk about basically your creatine intake, as well as maybe your thoughts and observations about buying groceries, as well as the book you recently read, as well as, I don't know, I wanted to come up with something funny, but my brain didn't come up with something funny as of right now, unfortunately. So what this results then is this duality in optimization. So it seems always in the process that it is the right optimization, but retrospectively over kind of a long-term thinking, or with more of a long-term thinking, it to a certain extent is a side tangent maybe optimization. It's maybe a side tangent optimization, an optimization that seems always like the better allocation of resources and time in the moment, but then overarching, you can see that, and if you just have this hen, for example, and these are all your resources, and then you distribute your resources into this, but once you're here, you think, oh yeah, maybe another hen from here, then you spread yourself thinner and thinner and thinner, but you actually need to go back to the tree, back to the trunk.